Hello and welcome to the Scouting Report here on LUTV, where we're going to look ahead to Leeds United's final regular season game, a trip to Ipswich Town on Sunday lunchtime. We'll also maybe take a cursory glance as well at what is still to come for Leeds United this season, of course, a playoff campaign. Former Leeds United defender Ben Parker is with us in the studio as always. And well, Ben, let's just we'll start by looking back at Sunday's win against Aston Villa. But there's a lot of positivity around the place. I think that initial disappointment faded rather quickly, didn't it, over the course of a week, and the team put in a really strong performance against a very good side.
Yeah, the key word they used, performance. I thought it was a great performance from everybody individually out on Sunday, and coming up against the form team in the division. They won 10 on the bounce, Aston Villa, prior to coming to Portman Road, and for our players to put the performance in, and also the atmosphere that the fans generated. Everything was a good vibe around the place, and that gives everyone a lot of confidence going into what's going to be an important few weeks.
And I suppose that will have been a key message for the players from the coaching team, probably in the build-up to the Aston Villa game, wouldn't it? So kind of put aside the disappointment, and we've got to prepare ourselves for a big finish to the season now.
Yeah, ultimately, be disappointed. It's natural to be disappointed. We all wanted to get in the top two, and for whatever reason, it didn't happen. But you've got to have a reaction. You can't sulk too much in this game, because people soon forget about that and pass you by. So the reaction the players showed were fantastic, and yeah, the things happened in the game was out of our control, but as a performance, it was fantastic.
And we know this season that the team has, rarely chopped and changed as well. Marcelo Bielsa, hasn't really tweaked about too much with sort of systems and formations, some kind of little nuanced differences as the season has gone on. So there's not been a huge amount to talk about that sort of week to week. But what we saw on Sunday, Ben, was Adam Forshaw, Matthias Klick and Calvin Phillips all playing those central midfield roles. And I know it's something that you kind of picked out, particularly impressed you against a good side.
And what was interesting leading up to the game, because gone through it afterwards, and they haven't started as a midfield three like they did throughout the whole season. So the big question was who's going to play where, who's going to get up support the striker. In this case, Patrick Bamford. Is he going to be isolated? But as the game went on, the three of them complemented each other really, really well. And this clip is perfect, because stopping a counter-attack in our box with Calvin and Adam Forshaw. Within 15-20 seconds later, you can see Adam's already in and around the edge of the box. Patrick Bamford's there, had a shot, got blocked. Fall to Matthias Klick, the other midfield player, got blocked again. Managed to recycle it. Unfortunately, Adam's blazing to Rose Ed, but the thought process is there. We're back in numbers as the two, and Klick with the one on Sunday, predominantly being the second striker, getting beyond Patrick Bamford. As we've seen there, the two guys are there, in Calvin and Adam Forshaw. Ball's gone into Bamford, who's the furthest man forward. It's Klick. Again, it's not come to anything, but the rotation, the movement is there. The understanding of each team's performance, individual position where they need to be is really good, and this is something that they work so hard on the training ground. Might seem a little thing, this Calvin into Adam Forshaw, Klick's come short. Again, them two have gone, but Adam Forshaw's the furthest man forward now. Klick's rotated in. Again, giving the ball away, but he was the first person to go close down. Calvin Phillips is working so hard. He knows if the ball's in that position, he's got to close down. And the other two guys, his partners in crime for the day, they wasn't too far behind. And all that's done is forced the turnover. Again, another simple pass from Calvin. This one into Klick. Klick's received on the half turn into Adam Forshaw. We think that's going to go in the bottom corner. Yeah, just graze the post. But that, in a nutshell, was them three. What there was about on Sunday. And against two of the best centre midfielders in the Championship in McGinn and Grealish.
Yeah, and we're looking at this because, of course, potentially a precursor to what is yet to come after the Ipswich match, of course. But we see the stats there of the three players, and it's kind of interesting that the three of them haven't actually played together, that much in midfield, considering the attributes that they all kind of have. And I suppose all three of them would say that they like getting forward, but all three of them will say, as midfielders are meant to do, complete players, tackle, win the ball back, pass it, look to score goals. Remember Calvin Phillips last year, was the man who was getting beyond strikers. He was scoring goals, and he has done predominantly through his career up until this season, where he's been asked to play a different role. So you think all three of them are in good shape going forward into what is a big end of the season for Leeds?
Definitely, and the big thing what Bielsa looks for in his players to play in 2-3 different positions. So all these different positions in the midfield area, they've got to be able to cover, they've got to be able to do every little bit. And like I say, Calvin might be the furthest man forward. If that happens, I'm sure Klick, Adam Forshaw, drop in, be that kind of solid little base like we do need, just so we're not so easily open. But in terms of the touches and passes we see here, between the three of them, that equates to a third of the team's totals in both touches and passes, which is massive, and it just shows the impact they had. But going forward, it just gives another option. We don't know what the team's going to be going into the playoffs, but what it does do, it gives Bielsa another option, just saying if he wants to go down this route, it's a positive one.
Yeah, you spent a bit of time with Adam Forshaw this week, didn't you, Ben? I don't know who picked up the cheque for the coffees. I can't believe I said cheque, not bill there. But Adam Forshaw, he's coming back into things, isn't he, at probably a perfect time. And one of the key things that you discussed with him was his experience of a playoff campaign. And I wonder how important that is. You'll spin it either way. I think if you've got a young squad, you say, well, they're fearless. If you've got an experienced squad, you say the experience is key. But the fact is that Leeds have a mix, and Forshaw's been there and done it, hasn't he?
Yeah, and I put the question to him, how vital is the experience? And his answer was, it's good to have a mix.
Yeah.
We've got the experience. He mentioned himself. Pablo has played in the Premier League, amongst other players with the experience. But then you look at the youthful side, and you're right, I think the mixture of the both stands us in great stead. Look, it's always good to have experience. You need to rely on the experience, big game experience. But how many big games have we played this year? Every game seems to be a big game, especially from Christmas onwards. And all the players have gained that experience. It's going to stand us in good stead because, yeah, there's going to be a lot of pressure, but these players are thriving on this. Yeah,
well, we're going to have a lot of build-up, of course, to Leeds United's playoff campaign on LUTV, so stay tuned to the official app and at the website leedsunited.com as well for more details of that. But of course, before then, we do have one more game to go against Ipswich, Ben. A final league match, final chance, of course, to put in a performance, and people put their hands up, of course, for that playoff campaign. But of course, Ipswich have had a season to forget. Let's put it, it's putting it mildly. This was the game, of course, back in October. One of these, what you'd put down as a routine, comfortable victory. They never are in the Championship, but from memory of this game, we did have to battle a little bit to make sure we got the points.
Yeah, and I think these type of games you put into a category of, you don't really seem to remember them much.
Liam Cooper will do.
Yeah, of course he will with that swinger. These type of games over the course of a season where you don't really remember them much as players, but they're vital to get where you need to get high up that table, to cement a position of third that hopefully we're going to be finishing in. So yeah, we probably did have to work a little bit, but going into this game, people might think it is a dead rubber. But knowing the players, they want to get on a roll, they want to win the game, they want to put a good performance again off back of Aston Villa. So, look, we don't know what the team's going to be. Is there going to be changes? Is there not? Yeah. It's out of our hands. But what I do know is that the players are hungry to get a result and get a performance down to Ipswich.
Yeah, I've spoken to enough former players in my time, Ben. Whenever you mention the phrase sort of dead rubber or the fact that the game doesn't really mean anything, well, it does, and for all kinds of reasons as well. Ipswich is their final home game. The fans are kind of sticking by them despite the season that they've had, which has been awful. From Leeds' point of view, there'll be a big away support, as we know, travelling down to Ipswich. And it's not necessarily, I say about players keep putting their hands up for the playoff campaign, but it's about keeping that momentum going from Sunday, isn't it? And making sure there's a good confidence-building performance and, of course, the result you take into that playoff campaign. From the team's point of view, we are recording this ahead of Marcelo Bielsa's press conference, so that he could spring some sort of injuries on us or some teams that we're not too sure about. Likewise, whether Patrick Bamford is going to be banned for the game. But the team, do you see him making change? I know some people are going, well, you could use this player and that player and Shackleton and Clark and change up the squad and protect players. But do you think Marcelo Bielsa will think like that?
I think how he works, he just wants to play the best players possible team, yeah, and then go get performance and result. I think he likes continuity. He likes the just going forward with all the confidence, and just players know they're in the groove. But in terms of changes, look, he can the one Tyler Roberts, he can come into the midfield areas where he's played. He can go out wide. He could bring Hernandez into the middle. Kamar Roof, we've seen him score that fantastic goal in training. Bennett straight into the top corner, so he'll be chomping at the bit to go get some minutes also. So look, whoever team plays, I don't think it'll be too much different from Sunday against Aston Villa. But like saying, players at this time of year, you have got to put your hand up. You want to play in these games, so no better way to go out and play against Ipswich, put a performance in, and get a result.
And what about the Ipswich players? I mean, his final home game, they'll be one of the favourites next year for promotion from League One, but teams have found out, as ourselves have found out, how tough it is being in League One. For them, there's pride at stake, isn't there? They'll want to try and sign off with, positive performance themselves. And, you look around their team, I mean, there are some sort of, battle-hardened sort of Championship campaigners in there. So it'll be interesting to see what their approach is, won't it?
Look, no one likes to obviously get relegated, but no one likes to lose football matches. And their pride obviously be hurt from what's happened this year. They're at the bottom of the table for a reason, but it's the last home game. I'm sure their fans will come out. They're quite faithful, the fans down at Portman Road. But it's all about us. Don't let that affect us. Like, have a feel like it's kind of a friendly kind of atmosphere. Go out and be ruthless. That's what the top teams do. They don't take any prisoners. They go in and do their job. So yeah, there could be a kind of like a family kind of little easy atmosphere, but it's all about us.
Well, this is Ipswich and their goal scoring at home, and again, they've not scored many, have they? And that's obviously been a major problem for them. And they've had problems, of course, home and away. I felt a bit for Paul Lambert trying to come in and steady the ship there, but they've had problems at both ends of the pitch. And if you've got problems at both ends of the pitch, you're in trouble, aren't you, Ben?
Yeah, it's not a good recipe at all. You don't want to be going into a campaign having problems at both ends. But what they've got a player in like Jackson is one that springs to mind, who can get a goal out of nowhere. He's kind of like been involved in the non-league setup, made his break. Ipswich gave him that chance to play at a higher level. So he's just one of those. On his day, he can get into positions and he can like say, hey, he can finish a chance off if given time and space. But the amount of goals they've scored at home has been nowhere near it. Obviously the home form is a little bit better than the away form. They're a little bit better there. And Paul Lambert's teams, he's always drills them to never give in, always like never say die attitude. So we'll know the commitment will be there. But let's be honest, they're at the bottom of the table.
And probably one of the worst teams the division's seen in probably many years. You can see there as well how the goals that they've conceded at home, how that breaks down. A lot from open play. They have been sort of picked apart. And if things couldn't get any worse for the Ipswich home fans, not only they had to watch the team all season, struggling matches, but they're near rivals. Norwich have got promoted, so that just rubs salt into the wounds, doesn't it? But you can see how teams have gone to Portman Road this season, and they found it easy to create chances, haven't they?
Just far too easy in terms of getting into the final third. And then once you're in the final third, you expect a bit of pressure on you, expect people closing you down. But it's just too easy to like get your head up, find a pass, look at the amount of space there. He's actually gone to control the ball. It's run under his foot, and it's led to a goal. So this type of defending you probably see at League One, probably League Two. But from a Leeds point of view, get the bodies in the right positions. Utilise the movement, your passing, but let's be clinical. Let's go there, be ruthless, be clinical in front of goal, and that's what gives you the confidence going into a playoff campaign. And
it's strange actually. In all the years recent years we've been, previewing up to Leeds United's trip to Portman Road. We've always talked about being tough, place to go, well drilled. They've always been very physical. They've always had strikers that have been a handful. The likes of McGoldrick, of course, who moved on to Sheffield United. But that's because they were managed by Mick McCarthy, and it has changed somewhat, hasn't it, with the personnel as well. Stats here over the last 5 matches combined for both teams. I mean, this tells you everything you need to know. 51 shots to the 131 that Leeds United have created, and shots on target. I mean, 3 times as many for ourselves. I suppose one of the things that Leeds will be looking at is improving the conversion rate of these shots. A lot's been sort of made, or people have certainly talked about the amount of shots that we're having in a game or creating chances. That's something that going into a playoff campaign, Ben, you might not get many chances. These games are going to be tight, aren't they?
Of course they are. And this is why this game's probably important for just getting into that rhythm.
Yeah.
Because we're always going to create chances. We've done it every game, so suggest we're going to do it against Ipswich and going into the 2 games in the playoff semi-finals. And you're right, the conversion rate. But let's be honest, if we're talking about the conversion rate, trying to be better at that, there's a lot worse things we could try and start improving it. But this is obviously the league table. And look, we still need that point to guarantee 3rd place. So it's not a given. We just rock up down at Portman Road and we just think, right, we're in 3rd. Because let's be honest, let's finish in 3rd, and let's get into a good momentum going into them 2 playoff semi-finals.
Well, Ipswich Town, bottom of the table, relegated some weeks ago. I mean, 4 wins they've managed all season. They've conceded 75 goals, Ben. 25 defeats this season. If you're looking at them compared to Bolton, okay, they've had a far more draws. They've not been beaten in as many games, but that is, that does not make good reading. It makes very good reading for ourselves, of course. As you say, a point will just guarantee 3rd spot, which is of course what you'll want. The most interesting thing I think to be sorted out, obviously, is who sneaks into that final playoff spot, and who, if we get a result down at Portman Road, who are going to be our opponents. Derby, of course, drew with Swansea in midweek, so they've got to better or equal, of course, Middlesbrough's result. Bristol City still have an outside chance. Who do you think Leeds United are going to be playing in the playoff campaign? I mean, Derby have got West Brom, Middlesbrough take on Rotherham. Yeah. We're already relegated.
So look, Derby are in pole position, and that's what they want going into the final game. So from my point of view, I'd be looking, thinking, right, it's going to be Derby County, because West Brom, they have rested a few players in the recent couple of weeks. Well, I think with an eye on the playoff campaign. Yeah, would they want to get into the third, so go out all guns blazing, trying to get that win at Derby, hope we slip up? Of course they're going to do that. But I think from our point of view, I don't think it matters who we play. We've done well against nearly every side in this division throughout the course of the season. So it's all about us. It always has been. Each game's always been about us. So the playoffs are all going to be about us. Obviously, it's going to be an exciting period. Obviously, we can't wait for it. But let's see. It's going to be nerve-wracking for Derby, Middlesbrough, Bristol City. They always are these occasions going into the last game. But Derby in the pole position, so I expect them to be in sixth.
Amazing achievements. So just a final word, Ben, on Leeds United's record this season. If we get the 3 points on Sunday, which we're all hoping and expecting the team to do, 86 points from the season. I mean, obviously the amount of defeats is ultimately what's cost us, but that is a remarkable achievement, especially when you look at how much clearer we're going to be based on a team like Middlesbrough. It could be 16 points ahead of teams like that. So, it's no disgrace where Leeds United ended up, just fell short at the last hurdle, didn't we?
You know what they've done? They've probably made me and a lot of tens of thousands of fans fall in love with football again. Not only with the club, but just how you enjoy football. It's been too long. And seeing the type of football, the style of football that's been at Ellen Road previous years, and it's not been good enough. And we as a club deserve better. We deserve what we've had this year. But huge credit has to go to Marcelo Bielsa, all his staff. They work ever so hard. But ultimately the players, they've got to cross that white line and produce what they've been learning, training, the different methods. And to, like I say, to have the season that we have done, it's so successful. But let's finish off with that promotion.
Yeah, that's what we want to do, of course. And from Leeds United's point of view, yeah, no question about it. Marcelo Bielsa, the players have given us a team to believe in once again, haven't they? Make sure you join us then on Sunday. It's the final league game of the season. If you're outside the UK and Ireland, you can watch the match on LUTV and get your match pass at leedsunited.com. We'll have build-up here in the studio at Ellen Road as well, and we'll be live at Portman Road too. Let's see if Leeds United can finish that regular season on a high ahead of the playoff campaign. Ben, thank you very much.
Thank you, Tom.
As always, thanks to you for watching.